All right, good morning, everyone. Dan here with Tradingology.com in the trading room for the first one in May. May the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, so good to see you guys starting out a new month here with definitely some activity rolling. Good morning, Dave. Good to see you joining us from our strong market partners.
Yes, happy Star Wars Day.
Yeah. So we'll see who rolls in this morning. Definite little turn of events here today. But looking at the internals, I'll quickly note that for any new members that are catching the recording after the fact, I should mention early, in case you miss it later, we do have a sale going on in Tradingology and a partnership we have with Strong Market with something we call our Elite membership, which includes all of the trading courses that Dave created over the years. I've added to them in the recent past. All courses, with the exception of the wealth management class. That's not included because that's kind of outside of trading. But all of the trading courses that Dave's created for, what is it, 15 years, Dave? You've been doing this, 20 years?
I started creating the courses on for trading back in 2008. So what's that? That's 12 years.
So all of those are included in this Elite membership, as well as all the indicators and studies that the Strong Market team have created over the years. There's premium scripts, there's intraday trader scripts, there's price signal scripts, there's lots of scripts, like 20 or so plus included in the entire complete market timer system, in addition to the spreadsheets.
And the spreadsheet with the algorithms that I've used, I created back in 1992. So that's even older. And it's been consistent since 1992, giving us a good indication of whether we've got tops in the market, bottoms in the market, whether we've got more bullish sentiment or bearish sentiment. And we actually use, we do it by the data, the numbers. The numbers tell the story of what's going on in the market. And you can see it visually in the balance of power, which are those two columns in the center there. And you can tell which one's in control, the bulls or the bears.
And interestingly enough, just yesterday, we had an update looking at it as there's one called the swing signal in here, which went neutral, which is more of a, bearish notion to it. And we had multiple indicators, even a mini little bull trap here, not as big a one as usual, but there's a slight bull trap. So just talking about the spreadsheet says, yeah, we kind of had a warning of what was going to happen. Same thing goes on the NASDAQ side of the house. The swing signal had turned down. We had some bearish herding starting. So we were kind of got some early warnings that we were going to see a drop today that the spreadsheets provided us.
Absolutely. That buy sell signal going down is one of the more important indicators that I look at. And even if you're not a trader, if you're a long-term investor, one of the best signals that I have on long-term investing is the SPY-VIX ratio. And when we look at the SPY-VIX ratio, it came to, it's gone from a low point to a high point. A low point is anything under 10, high point is anything over 25. And we hit that low point back in March of 2020, gave us a perfect buy signal if you're a long-term investor. And it also signaled the decline because it hit 25 just before it went down, before we got a significant drop there in February or January of 2020. And so it would have warned you that, the market was overbought and we're ready for a correction. Now we hit the same level just recently. We got over that 25 level. So, boy, if you can avoid the downturns, if you're a long-term investor, you're not in and out of the market every single day, but it's kind of interesting that those signals, when it hits 25, it's telling you it's a warning.
Yep. So the Elite membership includes all those signals, all the indicators, all the studies, all courses, and it is 75% off the normal price right now. So definitely take advantage of that if you are looking for making your trading easier, better, smoother, less stressful.
And it includes this live trading room. So if you're going to get into trading at all and you're new, or you have some experience, but you haven't had the success that you thought you would have by now, you can get your questions answered. I've been in the markets since 1976. I don't think there's anything I haven't heard of or seen or experienced myself. I trade options, I trade futures, I trade commodities, I trade, you name it, cryptocurrencies, I trade just about everything. So if you have any questions, this live trading room is a great resource for you. whether you're new, experienced, or whatever, intermediate, this is a good resource for you to come in and get your questions answered, get support, help, anything you need.
And to go along with that, when we're not live, we are live in Slack channels. There's multiple levels for members, so you'd have access to all Slack channels for specifics on trading strategies, things that we're leveraging, what we're seeing. I, from time to time, will actually even post in when I'm taking short trades. Sometimes I do very small ones, so we won't say, hey, I'm in, I'm out, because they're so sensitive. Like this morning, in this major drop that we saw, I actually scalped a few shorts on the way down, just seeing the strength, because we saw negatives. Internals, this was so weak. When this broke negative 1500 on the way down, there was a nice way to short, and I made some profits on the way down that drop. Not something I recommend until you're comfortable with it, but then we can see these levels where we may see turning points where we're actually below all 3 persons pivots, which are what these lines are here. It's very rare that we actually break all 3, but we have a more confined range based on yesterday's trading ranges, so they're a little more squeezed in, so it's easier to hit those 3. But that is an important thing, is when we hit these major levels, indicators, algorithms are triggering, so we can help with what we built over the years to identify some of those turning points, so you're aware of them. So check that out. If you got any questions, email us at support@tradingology.com. We'll answer anything you got. I know we have multiple members that are always coming in. So Slack channels, live access to Dave. I'm here as much as needed. We have these trading rooms twice a week. These are Tuesdays and Thursdays if you're new. And I think that's about what I can think of at this time. So we can look at kind of what's going on here. Oh, I just mentioned that the sale does end on Sunday, the 75% off. So if you were waiting for it, this is the time. We do run sales occasionally. This is probably one of the best ones we'll have all of 2021.
Yeah, it's an incredible savings, boy. If you're serious about trading, it's a good time to jump into it.
So looking at our markets here, what do you think? I saw this one news headline. I don't know if this is going to be real or not, but I figured I'd share it with you. We talked about this a few weeks ago. When the futures dropped prior to the open, you saw it happening. Someone was selling, you were mentioning in the Slack channels.
Yep.
We got more aircraft entering Taiwan's airspace again.
That was the news. See, I saw the drop. I said, somebody's selling. Somebody wants to get out in a hurry. And yeah, that would definitely explain it. I think we've got a lot of risk on the horizon. I think the good news is that a lot of the vaccines have been distributed. A lot of people are getting vaccinated. Everybody thinks everything's going to go back to normal. We're going to go back to the offices and go back to work. So, I mean, all of the good news is already baked into the market based on the rise that we saw from last March. What else is there? What else is there to propel the market higher? And we get a little bit of bad news and boy, we start selling off. So, the market's sensitive here to sentiment. Negative headlines could definitely move this market.
And we're seeing more and more volatile activity between the Dixie too. What was it on Friday? We had that almost a full percent it moved. Yesterday kind of retraced halfway, but now look, we're back right up. Let me zoom this guy in so you can see it better. That's those are large bars for the Dixie.
Yeah, they are. Especially that one day that the day before that was kind of a little telltale that, hey, we're probably going to see some sort of bottom there. But the next day, yeah, that's almost a 1% move there on the DXY. That's a big move for the DXY. It shows that, the sentiment is starting to turn towards the bullish dollar. We'll see though. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's one other 0.75 move. I'm trying to look, it's not very common that we see those large moves to the up or the downside. So we're keeping an eye on that. Commodities index, we were watching that last week. It did close above and then it gapped up this week. So how about that? Commodities are still on the move. We charted this a few weeks ago, just not that we trade this, but I'll pull it up just so you guys can see it. Is the lumber chart. Oh, I got.
Yeah, lumber.
We'll close
I mean, it's going into the stratosphere. It's starting to look like a cryptocurrency chart.
1609.
Wow. Yeah, up another what's that 5% today?
5% yesterday, 2% so far today, and it's on the move right now.
It was up a little bit more. It was up 5% earlier. So it's backed off a little bit here. And we have a level there, don't we?
Yeah, that's it's a 0.27 level, which normally is a target if it retraces back to this level. We got barely any retracement at all. This thing just keeps moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could see some activity right there as Dave's taking profits. I love to hear ringing the cash register.
Yeah,
He looked at that.
We're going to get a little bounce here, so I played that. But I do have, I still have a long-term position, a very light one on the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 looks like it's forming a massive head and shoulders pattern. Of all of the indexes, I think it's probably the most vulnerable to a decline. I do have targets. Right now, I'm trading the M2K, which is the Micro E-mini Russell 2000. I got short right around 2280. And we've got a head and shoulders pattern, which you probably still have available on your screen. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you don't. Well, there's RTY. Whew. That's a big head and shoulders pattern right there. You got that left shoulder, pretty evident. You get the head right in the middle, which is pretty evident. And then the right shoulder there forming pretty well. Target on that, at least on the M2K, is going to be, the first target is 1835. Second target is 1560. That's a big move lower. But my very first target, the one that I'm really kind of focused on here, is 1838 on M2K.
I'd feel remiss if I didn't warn you, because I like to watch those trailing ones, even though they are lagging. Watch out for 1966 right now. That 200 EMA on a daily basis. That'll probably show you some support on your way down there. So might pause there.
Well, that's on the RTY. So on the M2K, let's see, at 2248, and we are 2248. It looks like it's a perfect match for the futures, which is odd. Also, that's another thing that we brought up a couple weeks ago, was that the futures contracts for the ES, the NQ, and the YM have been trailing, and they're actually in backwardization. In a futures contract, if the futures contract is less than trading at a lower level than the cash index, you're in backwardization, and that typically means that the market is discounting future price rises in those indexes. Almost the entire period from, I'd say, 2008, 2009, even back then, there was very little backwardization. Today, on those cash indexes, I've noticed since the June contract came out, they're trading at a lower level than the cash indexes. And that means that large traders are selling those index futures for June expiration, believing that the cash index was going to come down to meet that, because when the contracts for June, futures contracts end in June, you have to have a parity between the cash index and the futures contracts. Typically, the futures contracts, because the anticipation is that the market's going to go higher, trade at a higher level at a premium to the cash index. That has not been the case since these June contracts came out.
There we go. Had to get dialed back in there, switching back from the daily to the 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was across the board, like you say. That was all of them. So if we look at right now, let's compare right now live. So YM is 33,776, below the Dow. Mm-hmm. ES is 4142, below the SPX. Mm-hmm. Then the NQ is at 13,512, or excuse me, NDX is at 13,526. And the NQ contracts are lower. So all three are below the cash indexes that he was just talking about. That's what he's referring to right there. Yep, exactly. It's backwardization in those contracts. And that typically signals. Now, you can look at those cash charts. Look at that NDX. Boy, talk about rolling over. Yeah. Looks like the SPX is doing the same thing, S&P 500. The Dow looks like it's holding up a little bit better. I don't see that rollover on the Dow yet. So that's why I'm not trading any of the Dow futures and sticking with the M2K.
at this point, but I do like shorts if we continue to see the market weakness here in the in tech, in the NASDAQ.
Yeah, that is definitely, we're just about to break 2% down right now in the NDX.
Yeah, but it looks like a big rollover.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
Fell right on that cliff.
I was listening to somebody this morning saying the same thing that we talked about last year about the SPX being at 666 back in 2009 at the low.
Yep.
Well, Tesla hit a low of 666 recently. They were making the comparison.
Even after all their Bitcoin awesomeness and all their, yeah, it's at 671 right now, so it's slightly recovered $5.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and Dogecoin is up. Dogecoin is up. I think it was like 40% this morning for a little while. So, if anybody is in the market for a joke coin, Dogecoin now is almost above XLM. Dogecoin is at 54 cents. And XLM, which it's above XLM. XLM's at 51 cents. So there you go. You got XLM, who, Jed McCaleb has been working hard for dozens and dozens, a dozen years here, trying to get XLM to be mass adoption as a payment, token. Dogecoin, with absolutely no developers, is now above the price of XLM. So there goes the whole idea that you have to work hard to make money.
And look at those. Look at our micro Bitcoin futures contracts. We're getting a few days under our belts. This opened up in May.
Yep. And of course, Coinbase came out and went public last week, and it is not doing.
I looked at that in a while. Let's pull that up.
Yeah, not doing well. You got to go over to stock for that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's below the opening day.
That's a lot of red.
Lower, yeah. Doesn't look real good. Not yet anyway. But I typically see, for the past year, almost every single IPO that has done well has always traded below the first day of trading. So it's still possible it could, rally at some point here. But so far, no.
Yeah, looking at Bitcoin itself and XRP, we see it. They were starting to rally back up. Everyone's predicting the moon again. It's fun to watch it. And then not happy right now, but long term, awesome. I'm feeling good about leveraging my funds wherever I did.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, over the long run, you're talking, I just don't see, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I just don't see a big utility for Bitcoin. It's slow, it's expensive, you can't do transactions, it's too volatile. I think somebody is going to, Ethereum I do like. I see Ethereum as a utility. There's a lot of utility. You can do the NFTs, you can do smart contracts, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And Ethereum has gone up over 3,000 for the first time this week. I like Ethereum. I don't know what is going to be the payment system. See, think about what cryptocurrency is. Cryptocurrency is a way to transmit value over the internet. Who is the best at that? I would say XRP is probably the best at that because it's the fastest, it has the most liquidity, tight spreads, you can get in and out within seconds, right? So the value is in its speed and liquidity. But there are new coins coming up all the time that could eat their lunch. So, it's still very, very young market. There are thousands of cryptocurrencies. Who's going to be the winner? I don't know. Just like the internet bubble. There are thousands and thousands of internet companies, and only a handful have really succeeded. Amazon, Google,
And they weren't big at the .com bust. That's one thing that people forget or don't always remember is, look at, Google didn't come out till later. It was all, Alta Vista and the other different funny search engines that were there. None of those guys that everybody was talking about lived past the .com, so they didn't survive it. Google came out as a search engine after, years later.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, all these cryptos could be gone. Like the one that becomes mainstream use case might not even exist yet.
Yeah, that's true, because the technology is improving all the time. I mean, now that cryptocurrencies have gone up significantly, it's breeding competition. Yeah, and I think the SEC is going to allow ICOs again, initial coin offerings. They just need to be regulated, and so as soon as they do, we could see a lot of new players in the cryptocurrency space, and some of them might just blow away some of these early movers here, like XRP and XLM. So we'll see what happens, but I'm bullish on the entire blockchain industry. Very bullish. I just don't know who the winner is going to be yet.
Did you see this one? I just saw a headline. PayPal is now looking at launching their own stable coin.
Competition.
There it
a
is.
lot of competition.
I know you can buy Bitcoin through PayPal.
Yeah.
Whatever they're using under the covers they know about, but it looks like they're looking at exploring their own as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, blockchain is great. It's going to solve a lot of problems. But who's going to be the winner? I think it's too early to tell.
Right. Since I was looking at headlines, let's just make sure I'm not missing anything here. I love how there's no real headline or no warning on CNBC. You know, if we were up 200 points, they'd be all over it, right?
Right. Yeah, market's going down. No worries, guys.
They got tailwinds for pushing higher is their headline.
Forget earnings, and it says forget earnings. Yeah.
Let's see, CNN's got nothing on the markets. Here's Bloomberg's actually talking about a 2% drop in the NASDAQ. This is brand new.
Oh, look at corn. Corn headline. Corn top $7 a bushel for the first time since 2013.
On supply worry. Worry on corn supply.
Yeah. So there's
the corn's been going crazy. What's corn doing today? We had that in the bucket.
I got my ETF set up here. So we got corn ETF up 2.3%.
Very nice.
We got sugar up 1.82%. We've got Joe, which is the coffee ETF, up 1.6. Interestingly enough, those commodity ETFs are continuing to rise while the market is going down. That wasn't the case a couple months ago. It was very much tracking the market.
Yeah, I think the wife saw yesterday or something on the news or something in her phone where it was, yeah, coffee's going to get more expensive. I'm like, see, all of it's getting more expensive. So enjoy that coffee because it might cost you more tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my 3 cups this morning.
Well, anything left that you want to think? Let me pull back over the internals. We'll close her out here. Looks like it might be taking another turn down. So anybody that's trading, be very cautious. Be very wary. Yeah. Get your small piece. Get in and get out.
You have the SPY VIX there by any chance?
SPY VIX is right here at 19. Actually, look at it. It's dropped 5 points.
Yeah, it's dropping. The raw one, which is just SPY minus VIX on the chart, not the ratio.
I can pull that up.
That's that has almost always filled a gap when it's gapped lower. It's almost always filled a gap. This morning, it did not. It didn't even come close to filling the gap, which tells me that there's a great deal more weakness in that than we might think. So if we go into a 5-minute chart there, you can see it's rolling over as well. It looks very much like the indexes. Yeah, we go into a chart. It did not even come close to filling that gap this morning. It just completely fell apart. Oh, you got the overnight, so that's pretty cool. But on the daily, there was a pretty big gap down from that.
If it closed here, that's a massive gap.
Yeah, that's a big gap, and it didn't even come close to filling it. It almost always fills it. I watch that every single morning like a hawk. It did not fill that gap.
If we track back previously, here's a close, opens up, coming down, fills the gap. There's a big gap down, and then it's rallied back up, and it couldn't make it all the way up.
It filled, well, it came pretty close to filling that one. If you,
Yeah, real close.
yeah,
Within a couple points.
Yeah, within just a couple of points. So hit that 400 SPY VIX, and we kind of roll over from there. So,
and here's where they're just writing letters. They just wanted to paint a big V last week, I think. We saw that on multiple charts. There was like, I think Sven said something about a glitch, and there was a big V that was like above. There was gap ups on both sides, and there was a gap down. It was pretty amazing to see that.
that is interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And it completely fell apart after that and made a new low. When it makes new lows like that, that's kind of a pretty good signal that something's not quite right.
Yeah.
So anyway, keep an eye on that, guys, because I think there's a lot more coming. But who knows? We could see. I'm just, the only thing I'm really bearish on right now is the Russell 2000. Everything else, we could see a lot of fluctuation there.
And just like we saw back in February, we started making higher lows on the VIX. We're spiking up. We're above 20 again right now. We might be seeing that again here if I put on my little drawing tool, if it wants to work for me. There we go. If we're doing something like this, let's see if this holds.
Yeah, it almost looks like the dollar chart. So if we get a big spike up in the VIX, expect the US dollar to spike up as well.
All right. Well, we'll probably wrap her up for today. Happy May 4th once more to you, Dave. And we'll be back here on Thursday. You
too. And see you guys on Thursday. Don't forget, if you guys are interested in learning how to trade, this is probably the best offer you're going to get. Join the elite. Come in here, get your questions answered. We're here, Tuesdays and Thursdays every single day. Come on in.
Yep. All links are available below. Anything you got questions on, support@tradingology.com, and we will get your questions answered.
Absolutely.
Take care, Dave. We'll see you soon.
Too, Dan. Take care. Bye.